Okay, so let's start. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Success Stories event, a popular work on climate community event series. We are so excited to have you all today. I can see more people joining, but yeah, we have to value everybody's time. So, hi, everyone. My name is Neha Prakash, and I'm joining from Dubai. My colleague from today's event support team, Deepwa, and I are part of large volunteer team of the Work on Climate organization, whose mission is to help people to turn their professional work into the building blocks for regenerative green economy. We do that by cultivating professional networks, including a global Slack community with over 30,000 members, offering free climate expert hours and producing events focused on building skills, connections, and knowledge. So if you're interested in joining us, please check the links Luba is putting in the chat. Please note that we will share the resources, presentation deck, and recording of this event to all attendees. So our event today will follow the following format. Each of four speakers, so we have four speakers today, and each of four speakers will introduce themselves and discuss their climate career transition, including the obstacles that they have encountered, the strategies they use to overcome them. Additionally, they will share resources they found useful in their climate path. We will also share them in the chat and email them after the event. Then speakers have 7 minutes for their presentation. After each speakers, we will select one or two questions from the audience. Please use the chat. And then in about 50 minutes, we will break into 5 rooms. Let our attendees join any speaker's room, whatever you want to choose. And then you will be able to move from room to room at your own pace. The rooms will be open for around 20 to 25 minutes to ask any additional questions and discuss the topics. Then in the last section of the event, we will welcome you back to share any insights from the room, whatever conversation that you had. The live event will wrap up at 90 minutes. Then our speakers today were selected from the Call for Speakers campaign, and the form is open for everybody who wants to share their climate journey at the quarterly event series. And our speakers represent different stages of their career, and also their transition happened at different times. So it will be great to see different perspective on how transition successfully happened for them. So I would just like to first invite and our first speaker. So let me introduce our first speaker, Christina, who joins us from Germany. So Christina is a sustainability leader, basically driving circularity transformation and in the global manufacturing industry. With deep expertise in climate and sustainability, she now focuses on enabling sustainable change within large, complex manufacturing organizations. So please welcome Christina to share her knowledge and experience.
Thanks very much. Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Katsianis. And yeah, as just mentioned, I am currently with Siemens Healthineers. Actually, it's very new for me. I'm about 3 months in, working in the circular economy space. But I come from another manufacturing company, Danfoss, a Danish manufacturer of heating and cooling solutions. So a very different space, but interestingly, a lot of the same opportunities and challenges just based on it being a global manufacturing company. I started in the kind of broader climate and sustainability space about 10 years ago, actually in a very different space. So initially started on grassroots natural resource management projects in Central America, so Nicaragua, Costa Rica. I came back to Europe, where I'm originally from, and worked in strategy consultancy, sustainability strategy in the Netherlands and the UK. And for the last 5 years, I've been diving much deeper into circular economy, which is really what I'm focused on now. So main focus areas, yes, circular economy and the decarbonization journey that comes hand in hand with that. And as mentioned, sustainable manufacturing. So really focused on driving the kind of strategic, but also the operational implementation of circular economy across complex organizations. And very recently having joined the medtech space. Maybe just to say a little bit about Siemens Healthineers, as mentioned, very new. So I'm on a steep learning curve myself to understand the organization, the sector, the customers and markets we serve. But if you think about healthcare solutions such as imaging technologies, CT, MRI, ultrasound, X-rays, as well as advanced therapies and lab diagnostics, just to give you a sense of the products that we're dealing with. Thank you. Next slide. So over the last 10 years in this space, which is what I've personally seen, many kind of new shapes and changes to the space. I would say it's really gathered pace, especially in the last 5 years, as a lot of large organizations are making commitments and trying to understand how to embed this into their organizations. So one of the first barriers I've seen is kind of a limited clear entry point into climate, perhaps less so than more mature sectors, so no standard career pathways, or not always, and often vague job titles or descriptions, so not immediately obvious as to what someone's really doing when you hear someone's job title. Secondly, I see a mismatch between what I've called traditional experience and climate needs. So it's not always clear to the individual, but also sometimes to the organization, how existing background, skills, and experience could be applied to climate-related roles, sectors, and organizations. And then lastly, limited upskilling infrastructure. And actually, I hesitate when I say that because there's, especially in the last years, more courses, webinars, and papers available than any one person can really kind of make use of in a day. But while they exist, especially on the course front, they're often scattered. They can be expensive or hard to apply to a particular job or a particular organization. So then on to some of the strategies that I've personally found most helpful. Importantly, finding ways to, and I really kind of put emphasis on meaningfully connect with people working in climate, both online and offline. And here I think it's most important to understand, what is it that they're really doing? What's the bit that I don't understand or don't necessarily see kind of beyond the job title? What are they doing day to day? What are their kind of short, medium, and long-term goals? What role do they play in climate within their organization, and how did they get there? So that's been a big lesson for me personally, to kind of really get to the crux of what someone's doing. Secondly, continually reflecting on the impact and and the role you could play within it. So here it's not only about what we do, but how we do it. And this includes really considering how your skills and experience could be transferred to the climate space. So my experience is, as I mentioned, some of the organizations are bringing this topic sometimes for the first time. And I think it's really important that we build our own kind of narrative around what we've done, how we've transitioned, and what we've kind of learned through that process. So making clear how we can apply existing skills to potentially new roles. And then lastly, an openness to learning opportunities in topics, industries, and geographies which spark curiosity. So as I mentioned, kind of started off in a very different space personally. But I was always very open to taking different opportunities that could arise if it meant being able to grow and learn more in a topic that was interesting for me. And one thing I would really recommend, especially if you're new to the climate space or haven't necessarily found your thing yet, is to start by auditing some free online courses, attending webinars like these, reading what you can to see where your interests really lie. And that leads me on to the resources, the last bit of this. So on the left-hand side, I have some of the free resources that I made use of when I was really coming into this space. And on the right-hand side, some of the paid resources and courses that I got involved with. So when I was actually living and working in the Netherlands when I first got really interested in the topic of circular economy. And these are a handful of the courses from TU Delft that I took at the time, free on edX, to start to understand what the circular economy is and how it could be applied. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation, so actually leading circular economy think tank globally, has some very interesting research projects with corporations, courses as well. So I can highly recommend those when it comes to circular economy specifically. And then FutureLearn Coursera for kind of broader climate and sustainability topics. There's more sector and kind of topics than I could even list, but I highly recommend checking those out first. And then some of the other courses that I've been involved with. So first one, Circular Economy Masterclass. I'm biased, I didn't take it, but I was a non-academic facilitator on this course. And we've had, really great feedback from the network that's being developed over many years. And that's in collaboration with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation as well. And then it was actually the year before last in my previous role that I wanted to kind of continue building my knowledge in circular economy, knowing that the space was moving really fast, and connect with a broader network globally. So that's when I took a longer course, Circular Economy Transition for Future Sustainability at MIT. And I found the kind of group work and assignments really helpful and connected with some really great people through that. So yeah, feel free to get in touch if you have questions. I think especially on circular economy, but even some of the earlier things I've been involved with, I'd be happy to talk further about it. Thanks a lot.
Amazing, Christina. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Let's see if we have any questions from the audience. You will anyway get time to, talk to Christina in the breakout room as well. So, okay, so let's move on to the next speaker. So basically first, before I move on to the next speaker, I would like to thank Christina. Thank you so much for this presentation and for allowing us to learn from your journey. And now we'll be moving towards our next speaker. So our next speaker is Stephanie. She currently leads the Regional Roundtable program at the Center for Climate and Energy Solutions, where she convenes stakeholders representing business policy makers and communities to develop innovative climate policy solutions that supports local economic development. So, Stephanie, the stage is all yours.
Great, thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and great presentation, Christina. If we can go to the next slide for my intro, perfect. So great to see everyone. Again, my name is Stephanie Gagnon Rodriguez. I am our Director for Regional Economies at the Center for Climate and Energy Solutions. C2ES is our acronym. We're a think tank. We produce policy research and recommendations for mostly federal, but also international and business climate solutions. Something that I think is really cool about our organization is that we focus really hard on our relationship with companies. We have a business environmental leadership council of 42 Fortune 500 plus companies that we work with pretty directly to learn from. And a lot of that learning is really looking at how the recommendations that we might make on climate policy would impact their business and how that would kind of be implemented on the ground. And then we also work with them to help them become more ambitious in their own commitments and activate them for federal climate policy solutions. We are, if you're following at all what's going on in climate policy in the United States right now, we're very busy. There's a reconciliation bill happening in Congress right now that would have a pretty significant impact on the clean energy and manufacturing tax credits that the Inflation Reduction Act created a couple of years ago that has really been responsible for a huge boom in the development and deployment of clean energy solutions. So a lot of the work that we're doing right now is focused on helping try to make those recommendations or those policy updates that are happening in Congress workable for the climate industry in the United States, while also recognizing that there are a lot of political discussions that need to happen around some of these technologies. I know Neha mentioned the program, and I think I talked about it a little bit as well that I work on. I work on our regional clean economies program or our regional roundtable program at C2ES. This is a program that's been going since 2020, and we convene dialogues among different leaders of communities, whether that's businesses or academics or community leaders, labor groups, trade associations, economic developers, and local policymakers. We bring all of these folks together around opportunities to build out climate and clean energy solutions locally. We explore what those local economic opportunities might be that go along with these new solutions, whether that's job creation benefits or attracting investment or promoting infrastructure improvements or livability. Together, we identify what these opportunities are and then what the barriers might be in the way of helping communities to realize this success. And we develop innovative policy solutions that we bring back to Congress to advocate for at the other side, that can really bring, real Americans into the climate policy conversation. I got into this field about 8 years ago. I had been working as a teacher. I really enjoyed some of the work that I was doing as a teacher, but I found my calling was more on the policy side of things. And so I made a pivot and went back to grad school to learn a little bit more about climate policy and ultimately got a degree in international relations and environmental policy. So from there, it's a pretty kind of easy line to draw to the climate policy space, but I will say, kind of mirroring what Christina said earlier, the many and incredibly wide-reaching impacts of climate change make it kind of difficult to define exactly what climate policy looks like. Pretty much any policy can be considered a climate policy, and many different kinds of policy solutions can be oriented towards helping to fight climate change or promote resilience to climate impacts. So it can be really challenging to get into this field because it can be hard to define exactly what you want to focus on in terms of policy. And at the same time, it can also be really challenging because you need dual expertise. You both need to know how to make good policy and how to advocate appropriately for the policies that you're recommending, at the same time as you also need to know a lot about the subject matter, the technologies that you're working on, the specifics of the different kinds of solutions that you might be advocating for. So it can be very challenging to kind of break into this space, although I've benefited a lot from learnings from other organizations, from other people far ahead of me in this field, from mentorship by my peers and people ahead of me, that I've been able to learn a lot from. I will also say, and I know I saw in the chat, we have a lot of Americans on the call, our political system in the United States is complex, to say the least, and it's highly polarized. And so entering the field can be really challenging. The kind of idea of climate policy has been really strongly politicized and really strongly associated with one party. And so it can be very difficult to break into conversations in a way that feels like you're actually moving the needle and being able to find solutions. That's why I think the work on regional economic development is so valuable, and why I've really committed to working on it, is that we're able to identify solutions that people can get behind that really promote local economic development and can kind of dig into the pieces that people really find most important in their lives, and then we can turn that later into climate policy. I will also just say one of the other challenges that kind of goes along with that is that the strategies and the messaging that we need to focus on can evolve very quickly. And so words that people in the climate policy space choose for solutions can become polarized very quickly in the US media environment. And so we just need to consistently stay up to date on what the words that we're using and the messaging and the strategies that we're choosing around that will be, and what will be most effective. Christina gave a lot of the recommendations that I would have made, so I will just +1 everything that she said. But for a couple of strategy areas, I would say finding a way to align your personal interest with your professional expertise is a good way to cut through the breadth of options within the policy space. I will definitely say that I've learned the most by asking questions and by learning how to kill the fear that I'm asking stupid questions and just continue to lead with curiosity. connecting to local and global climate communities, networking with people on LinkedIn, in the real world, in person, at conferences, at events, at happy hours. DC has a lot of these. It's been a great way for me to learn more about what the options are, what solutions might be, and how to continue to engage in this field. And then kind of picking up on what Christina was saying, finding ways to continue to learn, grow knowledge, learn more about new technologies as they come out, learn more about the nuances of different policy solutions is really, really important consistently throughout your career. So if we can just go to the last slide, I put together a few resources. Have been talking a lot about our regional clean economies program, so I did want to put in a little plug for that one. Talking about networking, it's been very useful in DC. We have all kinds of happy hours that are around specific technologies or sectors or issue areas. And so there have been some that have been really useful for me to build a network and learn more about what the opportunities are. Other think tanks in our space are also extremely useful for learning specifics and really good information and research about different kinds of technology and policy solutions. So our friends at RMI or the World Resources Institute are great resources to check out. And then I'll also put out a plug for Climate Exchange. They do monthly calls where they update you on different kinds of state policy developments that are happening across the United States. With 50 states, it's obviously very difficult to keep track of what's going on at the state level. So these calls are really, really helpful to keep track of that. Thanks so much. Really appreciate the time and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It was really wonderful to hear your story. And let's see if we have any questions from the audience.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Stephanie, I'm really impressed with your traction. And again, transitioning to the space is amazing. I was curious, you mentioned a lot of challenges. What's a huge win that you've done in your work that you would love to share with us?
Oh gosh, maybe this isn't the best time for that. Yeah, no, thanks for the question, Jennifer. I think it's been really powerful to be part of this movement that's more openly connecting economic development opportunities with the build out of climate solutions. So one of the things that we're doing right now is we're trying to defend the IRA tax credits or the other clean energy and manufacturing tax credits that the Senate is currently considering. One of the things that we're doing is really looking at the direct job and economic benefits of investing in these technologies, of using federal funds to support the development of these technologies. What does that do for real communities around the country? That's something that we at C2ES have been doing for a long time. That's something that we've been really trying to hammer home in the regional roundtables that we've been hosting around the country. But it's been very, very cool to see our peer organizations starting to lean in on this messaging, to see other organizations that maybe haven't really considered climate opportunities, climate solutions as part of their mission to start really hitting on the jobs and economic benefits and kind of recognize like the advanced energy transition is happening and we want to be at the forefront of it. So I would call that a win that is maybe very long in the making and something that's been a really cool thing to be a part of. But yeah, I really appreciate the question. Wish I had something more concrete.
No, that was a great answer, and the journey is the win, right? So thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Stephanie, for a wonderful story. And here next we have Rudolph from Cameroon. He's a passionate climate educator and youth advocate committed to bridging the knowledge gap between climate change and the youth while guiding them to build relevant skills for a sustainable future. So, Rudolph, over to you.
Thank you, Nia. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone, depending on where you're joining from. It's really a privilege. Thank you, the team, for giving me this opportunity. And Christina and Stephanie, thank you for setting up a good space. I hope you don't want that. Yeah, like Neha already said, I'm Sango Rudolph. I'm joining from Cameroon. I'm the director of projects and programs at the Greens. The Greens is an organization that focuses on climate education, waste management, and biodiversity conservation. If we are here today because maybe we want to bring change in, maybe you've discovered that there is something that needs change or you want to handle things in a different manner, and we must constantly, that is why we are all here today. And we can do that in two ways, either learning and feeling and continuing or learning from the experience of others that have been there. And this time I will be sharing personally my experience from transitioning from chemistry, complete chemistry, to becoming a climate educator with no background. Please, next slide. Oh, thank you. Like I said, I am from Cameroon, and the limitations they have or the barriers they have shared is not completely different, but then I will just be a little bit more focusing in our own area or own environment. Where I come from in Cameroon, sometimes it's very, very challenging to have mentors or counselors that will really hold your hand through, even when you think. Most of our schools here, the counseling department is not really functional. And when you decide, you just think that maybe this is the course I should read, or maybe this is what I should become in future. You begin wondering what exactly, who can I meet, who can tell me what, and that way it's challenging. And then most of the youths are that really makes it from early age might just be those that have parents that are educated, because generally it's tough. So that was one of the challenge I faced, assessing mentorship, assessing proper counseling and guidance to switch in the career. The next point is inadequate training and upskilling opportunities. Yes, sometimes you might even have the opportunity to maybe halfway to do internship or volunteer, but then you discover that maybe the organizations you've met do not have the necessary tools that would help you maybe gain the skills that you require for the transition. And it becomes very challenging at that level, because what you'll be like maybe just doing what you could learn on yourself. You do not have that those tools that could help you build the skills that you really require to go to your dream career or to do what exactly you want to do. And lastly, financial barrier. Here might be, for example, you might have been working and you have just discovered that now you want to transition into this space and you need these skills. I mean, fortunately, you have seen where you could gain the skills, but you need to pay, because sometimes it is what you gain for free. They usually say what you gain for free, you cannot really value as compared to what you've paid for. And that one now really becomes a limitation, because you will not have the finance to pay to learn the skill. And if you drop what you're doing currently, you might not have what take care of your day-to-day activity. So sometimes this really is a very big barrier. But as is often said, someone who is motivated, someone who is determined, if you really want to do something, no matter the challenges that you face, you will always find all the ways to ensure that you do exactly and become who you want to be and bring the change that you think it is in your hand. So what did I do? What I did first was I just found out. I looked around, and any other local organization that I could find, I started with. Irrespective, it will never be very small. Yes, it's true that you might even go to some and then the only thing you learn is maybe the vocabulary. Yes, that one is really going to help you. But when you are working, when you are dealing with, or when you're working with that small organization, go there with an aim that I am doing this because I want to transition to where I'm going to. I'm using this as a path. So I learned the vocabulary in that small organization. And there I was able now to find where I serve currently as the director of projects and the program. Secondly, you should strive to build a valuable network and build skills. When it is not enough to really just have network, but ensure that you maintain this network, ensure that you build skills in the process. If time could permit, I could share an opportunity I had, and due to network, I built valuable skills that is helping me today. But I think we are going to also look at that in the breakout session. And do not just say you don't have money. Start where you are. Start with what you can. It doesn't take it doesn't need money maybe to go to the stream and remove plastic, or it doesn't need extra skills to go to the stream to remove plastics where you know that is really going to cause harm to the eco life or the marine life. So start with what you have. Next slide, please. Okay, like Christina already shared some of the sites that really helped me during my early days with Coursera. You can have some free, of course, as well as paid courses there. Fee Academy, and if you want to really see what we are doing, you could connect. You could look at us on the Greens International, or you can also find me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Neva.
Thank you so much, Udal, for such an inspiring story. So let's see. I think someone was trying to say something from the audience. Please go ahead if anyone has any question. Okay, thank you so much, Rodolphe. We'll move ahead with our next speaker. So our final speaker is Sneha. Snehal, a large part of Snehal's career has been as a graphic designer, and she is now actively practicing UX in civil tech. She's passionate about data-driven solutions for a positive social and environmental impact. So over to you, Snehal.
Thank you, Neha. Very excited to be here.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nehal. I am originally from India, but have been living here in the United States since 2021. I currently work as a senior UX designer with MBTA. And for those of you who are not familiar, MBTA stands for Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, which is essentially the agency responsible for public transportation in the Boston area. That includes bus, subway, and also ferries. And that's where I live now. I'm currently based out of Boston. This also a fun fact that MBTA has the oldest network of subway in the United States. I've been working with them for about a year now, and my official title is Senior UX and Information Designer, which I really love because it also makes sense. For the team that I work on, my team is the Screens team, which essentially gives all the service information to riders at the right place and right time, which I feel is important to then elevate the whole experience of a taking a public transportation. A little bit of my background on my journey. I used to be a graphic designer in the initial 5 years of my career. I worked with various studios, media houses, until I realized that I wanted to expand my design skill sets, and also work for something that I really cared about. And that is essentially what brought me to San Francisco for grad school in 2021. I received my master's in human computer interaction from California College of the Arts. And during grad school, I took a semester long elective called Climate Designer. And my professor actually is on the call today. So shout out to Mark, a great professor. This class actually kind of like opened my was an introduction to the possibilities of climate career for me. During this class, me and my partner who were working on a project approached BART, which is San Francisco's public transportation, and created a concept of an app that encourages people to use public transportation over car ownership, which I feel like a lot of the learnings from this project and this particular opportunity translated in my current job. And I mean, why am I talking so much about public transit, right? I feel like I have been dependent on public transit a lot. I've lived in big cities which are well connected by trains and buses, and which makes it more walkable and livable. And this definitely has radicalized my view towards public transportation and its positive impact on climate and just quality of life as well. Next slide, please, Neha. Great. So when I did start out and I knew I wanted to be in civic tech and climate spaces, the entire industry kind of felt very daunting to me. I didn't know where to start, but the way I approached it initially was treating that beginning of my career phase as a discovery phase instead of a commitment phase. And what that means is, see, again, I think this is everything that Christina, Stephanie, and Rudolph has over and over said, is relying on your network, just looking out there what people are doing, what their roles look like, what interests you, and then genuinely just leaning into that network, asking questions, being curious of what exactly people are doing in the space. And that actually helped me understand what I may or may not like working on, and that helped me narrow down my focus area, which brings me to my second point, which is, after I had this sort of like a better understanding of, oh, things I do like, I might enjoy working on, and in my case it was mostly carbon offsetting in urban spaces, and public transport. As you guys might know by now that I've been like speaking so much about climate transportation, public transportation, I found people who were already working in these spaces, and try to see how my skill sets would then fit into these roles that already exist and or are hiring currently. And that brings me to positioning, which was actually one of like the most important things, because technically I had no climate tech background whatsoever, but at that point what I did have was good visual design skills, pretty good problem solving skills in UX, and also research skills to understand users and other people's pain points. And the good thing about having any kind of skill set, and we all have them, we just need to tap into what we have, is that they are all transferable. So while interviewing for climate roles, I would highlight all my skill sets, and then make a case of how it would potentially apply to the roles the organizations were hiring for. And apart from all of this, I genuinely also expressed why I cared to work in this space, or my personal interest, and made it more personable and relatable. And that really struck a chord, and actually got me into places that I never imagined I would be eventually. That brings us to my resources. And if you can skip the slide. Perfect. So these are design specific resources, but could also apply to non-designers to just look up again, see different organizations, what they're working on. So first, I would like to mention Climate Base, which is a great climate community, which also has an annual fellowship where you can collaborate and meet other like-minded climate folks. Again, big time vouch for them. Then Climate Designers, again founded by my professor Mark, who's here. This is a great this is the elective that I took in grad school, and they have a great job board, and they also have locally operated chapters across many cities globally. And I have actually made a lot of friends through it, so I really encourage people to check it out. Then again, shout out to Work on Climate for hosting events like these, which are super important and resourceful. And then lastly, I'll give a quick shout out to Design Gigs for Good and Technologies for Public Good. Again, online communities with like-minded people, not just in climate, but also in civic tech, which I feel ultimately all ties in together. So yeah, and just a caveat that Technologies for Public Good used to be free, is now paid, but they're doing great work. In case you have the capacity, uh, check them out. And again, my email ID is here, my LinkedIn is here. Feel free to reach out if you want to talk public transportation, design, or just say hi. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Snehal, for sharing those insightful strategies with our attendees. Anybody would like to ask any question? Please go ahead. Okay, no problem. We can now move ahead to the next part of this event. So I would like to thank all our speakers for these lightning talks. It was really very inspiring. And I hope that the audience is energized to spend some time with the speakers in the breakout room and converse directly about the topics that interest them the most. So what we're going to do now is we will open now 4 rooms named after each speakers, and the audience will be able to freely move between the rooms, and each speaker will moderate their own room. So if you have any questions, please use the raise hand emoji and the speaker will call you out. Next is we will also have a 5th room open for people who are interested in networking with each other, and it will be called Just Want to Chat. And the main room will stay open for anybody who is, who has any question about the work on climate team or needs any kind of technical assistance. So let's move on. We will bring everybody back after 20 minutes for a wrap up and to share some impressions and takeaway from the conversation in the rooms. So there you go. You might be able to see the breakout rooms now. Please feel free to join.
Almost.
Okay, let's wait for another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everyone. I really hope that everybody had really great time to ask the questions that you wanted to. And also, we would love to hear from the audience about the conversation that you guys had on new strategies. What did you learn? Anybody would like to come out and just share something that is a wow experience or something that you learn and you can implement or you can think to implement or anything that you want to share, please.
Yeah,
Come
I'll chime
on
in here.
up, please. Yes, go ahead.
I'm based in New Jersey, and I just want to say that I found the speakers to be so helpful, and it was really encouraging to hear about their journeys and the transitions they made. All of the resources they provided, I'm definitely going to be checking them out. And it's nice to hear about actual folks who've made the transition versus like theoretical ideas that you might have or theoretical things you might hear about. And so I wanted to thank you for such a fantastic session and to the speakers for being so candid about how they made the jump, what they found useful, and where they are now.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much. Anybody else would like to, please? It's really very helpful because now over here we are really learning from the real experience, their journey, their challenges, how did they overcome, and I really hope that everyone over here is able to learn from our speakers' journey. And also definitely we have their contacts over here, so you would like to connect with them anytime, please go ahead, and we will be sharing, as I said, all the resources and all the contacts that can be really very useful for you. And yeah, just if anybody else would like to speak about something, anything about this event or anything related to climate action, even their own experience, if they are going through some challenges, if you have any questions from your own career, so please go ahead, please ask. This is an open platform, and maybe from your experience definitely somebody will definitely get some learnings or guidance. And if not, then please provide us the feedback on how you felt. So definitely we would also appreciate if you could fill out this event survey. It will only take a couple of minutes, I would say, but it will be really a great help for us to make this kind of event even better and better. Last but not the least, I would like to thank you for all the speakers and all the audiences who really helped us to make this event a great success. Good luck everyone on the climate journey, and we are still open. Anybody still would like to talk or say anything, please go ahead, and we would love to hear. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, so let's start. Hi everyone, welcome to our Success Stories event, a popular work on climate community event series. We are so excited to have you all today. I can see more people joining, but yeah, we have to value everybody's time. So hi everyone, my name is Neha Prakash and I'm joining from Dubai. My colleague from today's event support team, Dipwa, and I are part of large volunteer team of the Work on Climate organization, whose mission is to help people to turn their professional work into the building blocks for regenerative green economy. We do that by cultivating professional networks, including a global Slack community with over 30,000 members, offering free climate expert hours and producing events focused on building skills, connections, and knowledge. So if you're interested in joining us, please check the links Luba is putting in the chat. Please note that we will share the resources, presentation deck, and recording of this event to all attendees. So our event today will follow the following format. Each of 4 speakers, so we have 4 speakers today, and each of 4 speakers will introduce themselves and discuss their climate career transition, including the obstacles that they have encountered, the strategies they used to overcome them. Additionally, they will share resources they found useful in their climate path. We will also share them in the chat and email them after the event. Then speakers have 7 minutes for their presentation. After each speaker, we will select 1 or 2 questions from the audience. Please use the chat. And then in about 50 minutes, we will break into 5 rooms. Let our attendees join any speaker's room, whatever you want to choose. And then you will be able to move from room to room at your own pace. The rooms will be open for around 20 to 25 minutes to ask any additional questions and discuss the topics. Then in the last section of the event, we will welcome you back to share any insights from the room, whatever conversation that you had. The live event will wrap up at 90 minutes. Then our speakers today were selected from the Call for Speakers campaign, and the form is open for everybody who wants to share their climate journey at the quarterly event series. And our speakers represent different stages of their career, and also their transition happened at different times. So it will be great to see different perspective on how transition successfully happened for them. So I would just like to first invite our first speaker. So let me introduce our first speaker, Christina, who joins us from Germany. So Christina is a sustainability leader, basically driving circularity transformation and in the global manufacturing industry. With deep expertise in climate and sustainability, she now focuses on enabling sustainable change within large, complex manufacturing organizations. So please welcome Christina to share her knowledge and experience.
Thanks very much. Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Katsianis. And yeah, as just mentioned, I am currently with Siemens Healthineers. Actually, it's very new for me. I'm about 3 months in working in the circular economy space. But I come from another manufacturing company, Danfoss, a Danish manufacturer of heating and cooling solutions. So a very different space, but interestingly, a lot of the same opportunities and challenges just based on it being a global manufacturing company. I started in the kind of broader climate and sustainability space about 10 years ago, actually in a very different space. So initially started on grassroots natural resource management projects in Central America, so Nicaragua, Costa Rica. I came back to Europe, where I'm originally from, and worked in strategy consultancy, sustainability strategy in the Netherlands and the UK. And for the last 5 years, I've been diving much deeper into circular economy, which is really what I'm focused on now. So main focus areas, yes, circular economy and the decarbonization journey that comes hand in hand with that. And as mentioned, sustainable manufacturing, so really focused on driving the kind of strategic, but also the operational implementation of circular economy across complex organizations, and very recently having joined the medtech space. Maybe just to say a little bit about Siemens Healthineers. As mentioned, very new, so I'm on a steep learning curve myself to understand the organization, the sector, the customers and markets we serve. But if you think about healthcare solutions such as imaging technologies, CT, MRI, ultrasound, X-rays, as well as advanced therapies and lab diagnostics, just to give you a sense of the products that we're dealing with. Thank you. Next slide. So over the last 10 years in this space, which is what I've personally seen, many kind of